Welcome to Attleboro Update. Earlier this week, Attleboro lost one of his great heroes. Last Sunday morning, Sergeant Major Irene Davey passed away at the age of 104. Irene was witness to some of the great events of the last century, including her service during World War II. She was well known in the community for her wit and wisdom and will be missed. Our thoughts and prayers go out to her family as they remember and reflect on her life. Prior to her passing, Girl Scout Christina Rozek chronicled Irene's life in a book called The Life, Times, and Poetry of Irene M. Davey. We spoke with Christina to learn more about Sergeant Major Davey's long life.
This is my grandson. Oh, and I'm so proud of him.
A couple years ago, when I was working on my Girl Scout Gold Award, I was 17 and I was entering my senior year in high school, and I wanted to do something related to veterans because I've never had a veteran in my family, and I just have this pull towards them. I really want to help. I want to know more about what that's like. So I went to Colonel Carl Bradshaw. He's the Veterans Director in Attleboro, and I spoke with him at his office one day in August a couple years ago, and he said, well, I'm not sure what kind of projects you can do, but there's this amazing woman named Irene Davey, and you should probably go meet her and get inspired and see what she has to say. I was pretty nervous to go meet her. She's quite a lady. And I went to her apartment in South Attleboro, and I met her, and I remember one of the first things she said to me was, speak up, you need to speak with confidence and say what you mean. And that really is something that she was always very good at doing. Strength is the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Irene. Every obstacle that she encountered during her life, she just jumped right over it or plowed right through it, and nothing was a problem for her, and if it was a problem, she got over it very quickly. She always worked. Working was incredibly important to her. She worked as a real estate agent for many years. She worked obviously in the Army. That was the main attraction in her life. And so working was important. Also, you would think that someone who's that strong and that driven and that forceful of a character wouldn't be as kind as she is, but she's just so sweet and squishy on the inside and always has room for another friend. And she had a mantra about kindness costs nothing. So you can be very, very kind every day to everyone you meet, and it, in fact, doesn't take away from you, but it adds to you. It enriches you as a person so much to have friends of all different ages, from all different backgrounds, if possible. I would say number one is respect. You have to respect them and all that. For me, coming from someone who's younger, forming a relationship with someone much older, I have to respect all that she's been through in life, and that she was older than my parents before my parents were born. We wouldn't have been able to have that bond if she didn't have so much respect for me. She didn't treat me like a child. She treated me like a fellow adult, and really gave me advice to go into an adult life, and not to follow directly in her footsteps, but maybe to be a little inspired by what she did. She's so eternal. She has this poem she wrote when she was 18 years old, and she was in a bad place in her life at that time, and obviously persevered and got over it miraculously. But she wrote it, and it was called Death, Sweet Comforter. And it was all about how she doesn't fear death because she knows that it's really a relief for so many people. That there's, the widow who mourns his wife and he welcomes it, and there's the lonely child who's an orphan and welcomes it. And she said, look, I'm 18, I welcome death. And then she lived so much longer. So what I really take away from her, even though every time I read that poem I cry, what I take away from her and from that poem that's so deep and reflective of her inner self is that you shouldn't worry about the future. You should just go at it one day at a time. That was what she always said. I always loved visiting Irene. I would go over to her apartments during every school break I have, and all the time whenever I possibly can. And I would go and sit down and she'd always greet me with a warm hug and ask about how I am. And every time I saw her, she revealed more stories about her life. And she didn't retell the same ones very much. She always had something new for the conversation, and she was just such a vivacious person. I'm really going to miss her a lot, but at the same time, she's not gone for me. She's still here.